All right, audio sync. All right, how's everybody doing on YouTube? Realize I'm wearing my safety glasses. Guess that's one thing. I do actually like clear frame glasses, but I realized that too late. Like for my normal glasses, so I have to wait. Just close enough here. Test 1, 2. All right. Got my Amazon microphone stand. I do have a ultimate stand somewhere else too, but the Amazon one works just fine. There we go. So I'm coming into this video not sure what my talking points are going to be, but I felt like I wanted to do a video anyway. I don't know if it's I'm addicted to kind of sharing my heart in a random way, flowing stream of consciousness without really. Sometimes I do preparation, sometimes I don't. So, very interesting. I know what kind of sells, quote unquote, which I enjoy doing ASMR, but I don't always feel like doing it. I'd like to be authentic in the sense that I could share my views or whatever. I feel like though also like I'm all over the place and I don't know, I'm not really all over the place. I do kind of know what my thoughts are, but I don't know how to present them or share them, whether it be, and I have anyway, but if it's something on the spiritual side or political, that seems a little more risque to me. I'm okay taking some risks if I have a strong opinion, but oftentimes I don't. Closest I've really come is kind of sharing the C. Baxter Kruger stuff, and I just listened to a little bit more of him today. Dr. C. Baxter Kruger, I don't think he really wants to be called doctor. I don't know, maybe he does. Ooh, these need tightening, I think, because I'm so hard on my stuff. I know I do have opinions about certain things and I think about them, but then I think, well, if I share that, it's not going to come out quite right. Like I even thought about the topic of, can pacifism apply to love? Can you be, I know war and love are often an intertwined theme for whatever reason or another. Well, could you be a pacifist in the arena of love? And I got to thinking, well, that makes it sound like you're non-violent, and you should be non-violent anyway, especially as it relates to love. So is there any way I can kind of make that a relevant conversation? I could try, I guess. I guess it might apply more to if we speak of violence, I'm not talking physical violence. I'm not even talking emotional outburst or anything like that. But what about this place where it does violence to your heart versus another person's heart, but you're not trying to be emotionally abusive or anything like that. You are who you are, they are who they are, you're incompatible, and you know you're incompatible, and how do you know that? Because of what you're feeling. It does. Could I say it? Is it there a difference between discomfort to the heart versus what is actually violent to the heart, even if the other person is not a narcissist, is not known for being abusive? That's kind of a tricky way to say it, though. They're not known for it, right? Or they're known not to be. Well, maybe that's a better way. They're known to be fair, honest, reasonable, forthcoming, and the like. But they still do. Either you're doing violent, or maybe mutually you're doing violence to each other's hearts. Or is that just kind of a dramatic way to put it? And hopefully that realization, when it come immediately, or maybe you would want that to come immediately, but more often than not, it's realized after X number of years. But I wasn't really trying to go down a rabbit trail like that either, because that's not something I want to enter into, but I did think of it, I guess. Pacifism, where I guess you try to find the easiest solution, the least violent. But more than often than not, we try to advocate for what's most reasonable for us. Or we'll do anything for the other person, but for whatever reason that comes across kind of desperate or needy. You lose that way too. So my thought really about love wasn't trying to revisit my past, although I do have my past to kind of realize that's what I'm informed by, but I'm not really trying to bring about this specific example of anything, at least not yet, right? Unless I have to prove a point in my philosophy or whatever. It seems to me, what I mean by pacifist when it comes to love, what do I mean by that? It means almost like maybe not quite giving up, but you're really close to it. And you're not really willing to put up the fight or put up the fuss over making your attraction towards someone known. Maybe you still have the attraction towards certain people, women in my case, but you're just like, you know what? It's just easier to let them grow in their own beauty, because otherwise I might get in the way, type of a thing. Or is that a cop out? I mean, it could be, but more often than not, it seems like the healthiest stance to take in today's culture is, say you're in a church or at work, either place, you might have an attraction towards someone, but it seems like the most mature thing to do in most cases is just to let it go and just let the person, let them be. I mean, you can be nice and you can be, if you're working with them, you can be pleasant, but it seems like the best course of action is just maintain your professionalism, and kind of at the cost of any intimate part of yourself or even personable part of yourself, really, other than, being as warm as you can, but without being too warm and fuzzy. Ever anyone else discover this place where it's almost like, I don't know if it's my age, but it's not how it used to be. When the attraction was there, oftentimes both parties kind of were onto it and they enjoyed each other, at least for a season, as long as you were able to maintain that, or as long as you were dating or whatever. I didn't take a lot of time to quote-unquote heal after my divorce. I didn't instantly jump into a relationship, but I don't remember how long it was. I think it was several months, but it wasn't like even a year. Not even a year, but it seems like for all practical purposes, a relationship, even prior to the divorce, was kind of like we were separated. So maybe in that regard, it was a year, if you want to count from a point of relationship kind of being on the ice. Is that what it's called? Being on the rocks or whatever. Not sure if it's going one way or the other. Hoping that it would, but nope. I don't know. People are going to come to the conclusion that I need to heal, and I think that'd be true anyway, though. We all need to heal. At some point, you're as healed as you're going to be, and if you want a relationship, I guess you should seek God for who's right, or if it's the right thing or right course of action to use the dating apps that are available. at your discretion and at your disposal. Kind of both, which are kind of opposites. Mostly, I think we know why we're not on dating apps, or if we are on them, we know why we're on them too. And even if we are on them, I think we know. It's a little bit like that shopping cart at Walmart that doesn't work too great, and the wheels are sort of not working in our favor. But it could. I have a niece who used a dating app, and she's happily married. In fact, my second marriage, we'll say, which feels like my first real marriage. Can I say that? Was that wrong? But I did use, it wasn't a dating app back then, but it was online. Should I say what it was? Christian Cafe. Yeah, it worked. I mean, she contacted me first, if I remember right. But I was touring as a musician with another musician. I was a sidekick. I'll be that front about it. But I was still a sidekick, and I wasn't able to get back with her until I checked my email, because I think there was maybe email on your phone, maybe a way to check your email more remotely, but I just didn't bother, I guess. Actually, I'm not sure about that. Back in the early 2000s, would you check your email on a mobile device that you held in your hand? Well, in either case, you could probably have checked in somewhere and checked your email, but I just waited till I got back from tour. And our relationship took off from that point going forward rather quickly, actually. But I'm going to say no regrets. Is that true? That's kind of a loaded question. I think we're good with where everything ended up. It feels like a little bit like a lie, but mostly true. I mean, how do you handle the no regrets situation when you're thinking about love and romance and war? I think we fought hardly at all. That's one of the things I think that made our relationship so wonderful, is we had previously come from another relationship where it was constant fighting often, and we found that we were able to get along in that capacity. But I guess 15 years, we discovered there's more to love than just not fighting, I guess. I didn't want to make it about that, but it's hard not to draw upon your past experiences. So I'm not going to get... What's the expression I heard today on a YouTube channel? I'm not going to get myself wrapped up in the axle over that, or something like that. I'm not going to get wrapped around the axle over that one. But it's kind of seems like a matter of practicality and a matter of wisdom not to get yourself romantically involved at this point. It doesn't mean I don't want to. I do want to, but I have to find the right person. And I know I'm an INFP, so I think actually my world is kind of based on feelings, and I don't totally understand the Briggs breakdown, I won't lie, but it does seem like despite my being able to be logical, I think the way I view things probably isn't totally rational or logical or whatever. But I think from the day-to-day, I do kind of have to take that route anyway. But I think I'm able to make some decisions otherwise. And in fact, I have. And it has cost me, shall I say. But I think what I was trying to say is, even though I'm trying to be so logical about this right now, that's don't get yourself in a bad situation. I feel like I still am a romantic at heart, But I just know there's so much trouble out there waiting, almost to the point where I've made the YouTube video about is dating a scam or something like that. I don't think I used the word dating, but I don't remember what my title was, but dating is a scam or something like that. Maybe I did use the word dating. And that one had some views. Even if I do make reconsiderations on that, I'm still kind of in the same boat. There's only out there and available to me what I can see, at least in my immediate peripheral. And I know there's putting yourself out there too. No, I can say I think I've done that. I have went on the dating apps, and I have gotten somewhere with that in terms of, I guess you could say the physical and the emotional and all that. But did it lead to them even meeting depends on which person you're talking about. Some people did meet my family. Some were going to, but decided to put that off a little bit longer. And I see my batteries flashing over there. Anyway, I guess my prayer is if it's meant to be, I think God does, although respect your own will, what do I want? I think it would be nice to find somebody. Am I limited based on what's out there? Well, it's not like it was back in high school. Back then, they were young, they weren't married yet, they didn't have all this previous relationship. I want to avoid using the word baggage, but for lack of better words, it's not just the baggage, but it kind of, sort of is, my own included. And so I think I like the concept of it. I like the idea of it, finding another person, settling down, actually getting married first. I was going to say and getting married, but really I'd like to do it the Christian way, whether that's actually God's way or not. As far as, how far can you go with any relationship and have it actually defy God's moral law, as opposed to defying the Christian expectation in our culture? What are the differences there? I think for me personally, it's just easier to go with the Christian expectation, but then again, that's pretty hard to make that work too. Finding the right person, how are they going to fit with my version of Christianity and all that? Because I feel like I'm a minority within a minority within a minority, and it makes, or do I just allow God to God, I don't want to overthink this. You just bring the right person to me and we'll be fine. Make it that easy, even if they don't believe the way I do. But you do want compatibilities, because how many breakups have you already experienced due to the irreconcilable differences and all that? So yeah, I brought in some of my plants because I think it's going to freeze soon. This is one of them here. I forgot what that one's called. That's a pretty cool one. I brought in a hibiscus plant, and it bloomed and it showed off yesterday and into today as I was going to work. It looked beautiful, but the bloom kind of shriveled up now. But I see there's new ones forming, and it's over there off camera. But I guess that was my stream of consciousness thing going on there. Love. I don't think pacifism is the right word to relate to that. But it's almost putting your own heart in either way, whether you choose just to be. There's a nicer word than loneliness, that perhaps there is a difference between loneliness and solitude. But let's face it, you're going to deal with some loneliness if you choose to live in your solitude. There's going to be moments, at least. You may learn to live in it better, and it may be appropriate for you to use the word solitude instead of loneliness, but let's not kid ourselves too much. So there's that part of yourself to deal with if you so choose to take that route. I'm not sure what's more easy or what's more hard. It depends on how well you can, or how blessed you are in finding, I guess God is up to you, but there's this words that I'm going to use, that's finding the right person. How much of that is up to me, how much of it is up to God and all that. And I don't know how to juggle this whole concept of fatalism, almost predeterminism type thing, versus if it's going to be, it's up to me. I mean, he certainly gave me a will, so how leaned back into just not caring about it. And obviously you are going to care about it, so you can't fool yourself that way entirely either. Sometimes when the spark comes, you're going to know, but will the other person know? And it will always be an appropriate thing to act on. And a lot of times I actually know, and I know. That's like, yeah. It's interesting how I think emotions are important, but yet they can fool you because, for example, if you find you're liking someone else, they're already with someone or something like that. You don't want to get yourself mixed up that way, for sure. So do remain respectable and honoring within your own culture, within the culture of the kingdom of God, for sure. Even our own culture, I think it still frowns on certain behaviors, and it ought to. But I think that's it. I'm not coming up with any answers right now, but I'm not, ashamed of Jesus or anything, for sure. I'm not trying to not include him. I'll include him in this much. I believe I should express the life that's within. Instead of just talking about Jesus, I actually want to express what he's putting in there. And I could do that and not even bring up the spiritual aspect of it, where it came from. I should just be able to speak truth, and I should be able to flow, because streams of living water, so do you have to talk about it in religious, ideological terms, or from a place of doctrine, or can you do it in a place of relationship where it's actually supposed to be? Can he share things with you, and can you flow from that place? So I'm kind of trying to do that, but I'm not saying I'm doing a super great job, but I think I'm taking my baby steps here. So I expressed to him I do have desire, and I do want I guess to be a better man to a woman, and I think we all aim to please, but we can't be people pleasers in the sense that we're what's that word everyone uses, codependent and all that. But we certainly want a healthy, dynamic relationship, and there's tons of information out there on how to achieve certain things like that. I'd like to flow within it in organic terms, but apparently that's already failed, I guess. Not that we weren't without instruction. In fact, she is a life coach, so that even puts it in a... Well, my battery died, so I'm not gonna... Thanks for listening. But I was gonna say that even puts it in a worse place for me as a guy. Thanks for listening. My battery died. I thought of changing out the battery, but I left like a half battery in there. And maybe that's the same difference here, is realizing that, hey, I only have this much energy for this much relationship wise, and knowing your limitations and finding ways to rest and charge yourself up and build yourself up in the Lord. And That way you can be more ready for what's next. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next video. And I hope to find God's blessing in that particular area. Certainly I guess I found his blessings in other areas, but the romance and things, I'll trust, even if that doesn't occur, that even that itself is a blessing. But is that kind of excuse making, or is that, I don't know. Guess your thoughts on that. We'll see you in the next video.